following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Welcome in to this Monday edition of Main Street Sports Today. Chris Yow alongside the Hall of Famer and Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year, Maurice Patton. Also, Justin Kulik on the controls. Glad to have you guys with us as well. Mo, it's 2 o'clock. We've been doing this show at 2 o'clock for
pretty good while.
So my dad, of course, texts me, did you see Memphis got a new softball coach at 2 o'clock?
Oh, what happened to their old softball coach?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer, but it is interesting because it is their new coach is Stephanie Van Brakel Prothro.
Stephanie Van Brakel. I know that name. Why do I know that name?
Well, she
Tell me why I know that name.
She played in Alabama and then married Tyrone Prothro.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So Memphis has a new softball coach. That's not our top story, but Chuck coming in with the with the late breaking news here at 2 o'clock.
Is he angling for an ad to our credits or something? Is he wanting to get paid or something or what?
Yeah, I think he's trying to grab some cred here.
Something, yeah. So Natalie Poole, I'm looking at something on Extra Inning Softball from June 16th. Memphis and head coach Natalie Poole are parting ways, the school announced on Thursday. Again, this is from June 16th. She was at Memphis for 11 years, went 241 and 340, 58 and 146 in conference play, whichever conference is plural they were in. They made the American tournament semifinals in 2018, finished with 37 wins. Previously, she had been at Georgia Southern for 7 years, which now employs friend of show Sharon Perkins.
That's right.
And before that, she was at McNeese for 3 years. And Chuck may or may not know this, but one of the reasons that this kind of holds my interest is because Memphis has played in the Mid-State Classic for the last couple of years, and I'm pretty sure they were scheduled to come up here again in 2023 and play Karen Weekly and Tennessee out at Ridley Park.
So when we were talking with Ralph Weekly about that, he mentioned a couple of other teams. Was that for 24 and 25?
I'm not sure. There have been mentions of, trying to get some other SEC teams in here. The one time that they did get Auburn up here for a midweek was when we had amazingly cold weather and they were unable to play, but they are always trying to get the best and most compelling matchups that would involve UT for that event. And with it being midweek and that kind of thing, it's kind of tough to get another conference team in here. But
Memphis, that was kind of the goal, wasn't it? I mean, not obviously this move and this is completely off the rails.
Oh yeah, we've gone way off the rails in the first 3 minutes. Thanks, Chuck.
But the Mid-State Classic was supposed to be Tennessee and Memphis, right? I mean, meeting in the middle.
I think that they kind of liked that idea that they got Tennessee and then they tried to find an opponent for them. I think Belmont was the first game. MTSU has been there for a few games. Memphis, again, has been the most recent opponent, but I don't know that there was necessarily an established UT versus Memphis or UT versus anyone.
Gotcha.
That event kind of predates me, and then I was kind of left out of the loop on some of it once I did get here. So, but anyway, Natalie Poole no longer at Memphis. Stephanie Van Brakel Prothro. It's a pretty good get for them, I would think. Where had she been, Chris?
At Alabama. She was an assistant. Yep, she was an assistant under Pat Murphy, and that's it. It's a big get. It really is.
Yeah.
So, good for her. Good for Memphis.
Right.
Congrats.
Right. I really enjoyed the opportunities that I had to work with Natalie Poole and hope that things work out for her the way she wants them to. But yeah, like you said, I think this is a good get under the circumstances for Memphis. So again, thank you, Chuck, for
rolling us off the rails.
Throwing big old monkey wrench right in the middle of Main Street Sports today, right out the gate.
A screwball, if you will.
If you will.
Rather than a curveball, since screwballs are far more prevalent in softball than
well, I dare say we stayed on it and drove it though. So
we did in fact. Hey, our top story today does come from college football though, as the Associated Press top 25 poll has been released and Tennessee not in it, but they are the first team out.
The first team not in it. Yeah.
That's
Tennessee with 180 points, I guess, is tops the list of others receiving votes. BYU with 234 points is at number 25. And as we have become accustomed, the top 25 definitely has a Southeastern Conference flavor. 3 of the top 6 teams, 6 teams in the top 25, and 6 teams among others receiving votes. If
I know keeping count at home, that's all but 2.
That's all but 2, exactly. Yeah.
So, even I can do that math.
Well, I was going to do it for you because I know that you've often been promised that there would be none. But
I have, in fact, and you guys break that promise far too often.
Yeah.
The only time I like math is at the end of the high school football season when if-then statements are involved. That's it. That's the only time I can handle it.
For somebody who doesn't like math, you really do get into that if-then stuff.
I really do.
Let's assume wait until the last Friday night when it's all done with and print out the brackets. But
it's because I go back to my roots as a when I was learning how to do the basic elementary coding in computer class in 2003 or whatever.
Isn't that was something?
That's the only thing I can remember is if then. That's it. So there you go.
So yeah, as in the AFCA coaches poll, Alabama is number 1, followed by Ohio State, Georgia, Chris's favorite team, Clemson, and Notre Dame. Texas A&M coming in at 6. Scroll down to number 19 where you find the Arkansas Razorbacks, our favorite out of the SEC West, if not Alabama, followed by Kentucky and Ole Miss. And then among others receiving votes, you've got Tennessee, LSU, more on them later in the show, Mississippi State, Auburn, Florida, and South Carolina all receiving votes. So,
albeit 2 for South Carolina, still receive votes. It's interesting because you just said that Arkansas is our SEC West favorite, if not Alabama, and yet number 6 Texas A&M is like, hey, what about us, right?
Well, that we said what we said.
And that's the thing about preseason polls. It's certainly interesting. I fully expected Oregon to be in the top 10, just if for nothing else, ratings.
You are the second person that I've heard or read say that. I saw someone else say that they expected Oregon to be in the top 10 for TV ratings, but I don't know who's voting with that in mind necessarily. I mean, I get you conspiracy theorists and that kind of thing, but I don't know. No, not you.
Me.
Not you. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know who's casting their vote with that in mind. I mean, you've got Utah out of the Pac-12 at 7. I don't know that Utah necessarily has the national gravitas that Oregon has. So, I mean, I see your point there, but Utah 7, Michigan 8, Oklahoma 9, and Baylor 10.
How about the Big 12 though? I mean,
Ohio State, Michigan in the top 10.
I'm talking Big 12. Oklahoma,
Big 12.
Baylor,
I'm
and
sorry.
Oklahoma State all there together at 9, 10, and 12.
I'm sorry. I got my 10s and 12s mixed up.
Well,
yeah.
And in this day and age, rightfully so.
Well, and considering neither of them has the number of teams that they quote in their titles. So
Tennessee will get a chance early with that trip to Acrisure Stadium, where they'll take on Pitt. That was very difficult for me to remember, Mo.
I'm glad you remembered it.
I had an argument with a guy on TikTok about it because a guy from On 3 Sports said that Tennessee was going to go up to Heinz Field, and I was
they're not.
Not Heinz Field.
No, they're not.
And this guy, this Pittsburgh fan, was like, "Yes, it's Heinz Field." I was like, "Okay, you're probably not wrong."
As long as the structure is there, it's going to be Heinz Field to somebody, huh?
Absolutely, it's just like Troy State. State stays. So
Memphis
State stays.
The Liberty Bowl.
The Liberty Bowl. Nobody's going to call it whatever the crap the name of
Simmons
it is.
Bank Liberty Stadium.
Not happening. So yes.
Sorry, Simmons Bank. All that money you spent.
That's how I remember that it's Acrisure, because I had that argument with someone over the weekend.
Pittsburgh number 17 in the AP preseason top 25. So yeah, they got a shot at some upward mobility.
They do, in fact, have a shot at some upward mobility, and quickly out of the gate. All right, Mo, we've
Thanks,
we've
Chuck.
gone through it all. We have not quite completed everything that we probably wanted to say about the AP Top 25, but hey, we got plenty of show to go, so we're going to do that. Mm-hmm. But first, we're going to get into the weekend's results, Mo, and today's schedule, which today starts high school sports across the state of Tennessee, which means the rundown from now on gets a little lengthy. So let's get into it.
This is the Rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Over the weekend in pro baseball action, the Braves down the Marlins on Friday 4-3, and the Cardinals down the Brewers 3-1. On Saturday, the Braves took a pair from the Finns, 5-2 and 6-2, while the Cubs down the Reds 7-2. It was the Brewers in 10, 3-2 over the Cardinals. Boy, 2 seemed to be a tough number.
Deuce is wild, huh? On Sunday, the Braves completed the sweep in Miami with a 3-1 victory over the Marlins, scoring 3 times in the top of the 9th for that victory. The Reds with an 8-5 win over the Cubs, and the Cardinals down the Brewers 6-3. In minor league baseball action of interest locally, the Sounds down Gwinnett 11-2 on Friday, followed by a Stripers 7-6 win on Saturday. And the Stripers 1P got out of town with a 5-3 win on Sunday. In MLS action, it was Minneapolis 2, Nashville 1.
Perfect scenario in that minor league action, though. Sounds and Stripers split the series, so I feel good about that as a Braves fan and a Sounds fan.
There you go.
Speaking of losing scores being equal, Connecticut in WNBA downs Minnesota 90-83. New York beat Atlanta 87-83. And then Washington defeated Indiana 95-, you guessed it, 83. Las Vegas down Seattle 109-100. It was Chicago 82, Phoenix 67, and Dallas a 116-88 winner over the Sparks of LA.
High school volleyball action today. East Hickman travels to Hampshire for a 5 o'clock start. It's Mount Pleasant at Marshall County. That one's also at 5:30. FC Boyd Christian is at Zion Christian, also at 5:30. The Webb School is at Rockvale. Columbia Academy makes a short drive down. What is that? Is that Trotwood Trotwood and Hampshire Pike to Columbia Central for a 6 o'clock start. Also at 6 at Summertown at Eagleville.
6 o'clock tonight, Harpeth is at Fairview, Spring Hill at Franklin, Loretto hosts Lawrence County, Siegel is down at Nolensville, Middle Tennessee Christians at Riverdale, that's at 6 o'clock as well, and at 6:30 you can find Green Hill at Stewart's Creek.
Also playing, times unannounced, Davidson Academy is at Cane Ridge, Houston County is at Clarksville Academy, Page is at Dixon County, Overton's at Good Pasture, Friendship Christians at Station Camp, and Summit is at Battleground Academy.
In girls soccer action at 5 o'clock, First Touch, Friendship Christian at Watertown. At 6 o'clock, you can find Middle Tennessee Christian at Forest, Good Pasture at John Overton, Merrill Hyde at Portland, Murfreesboro Central Magnet at Rockville, and Cascade at Zion Christian. At 7 o'clock, Culleoka's down at Giles County, and Oakland hosts Franklin.
Major League Baseball action tonight. The Phillies are at the Great American Ballpark against the Reds at 5:40. At 6:05, the Cubs visit the Nats. At 6:20, the opener of this is 4 games, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The opener of a 4-game series as the Mets come to Truist Field and take on the Braves. Again, that's a 6:20 start. I'm sure that's on Valley Sports South And at 7:10 tonight, the Dodgers are at the Brewers.
And that is your rundown, brought to you by Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org. All right, that's going to do it for segment 1. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, TSSAA voted on the proposal that we talked about last week. We'll tell you how that ended up. Later in the show, Parrish ALFORD talks Ole Miss. We've got more Big Blue Nation drama and some other stuff from across the college football world, Titans preseason, and much more. Of course, the Braves coming up in the second half. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow alongside Mo Patton. Glad to be with you here as we are continuing our previews of SEC teams today with Ole Miss and Parrish ALFORD coming at you in the second half. We've also got more on the Braves, more on college football in general, and some Titans coverage firsthand this time from our very own Mo Patton and little TSSAA, because we are, in fact, covering it all from preps to pros. And Mo is doing just that. Matter of fact, he went from pros to preps and back to pros this weekend. Well done.
It's a long weekend.
That's got to be weird to get your mindset right, to go from watching high school football jamborees at night and then going to cover the Tennessee Titans on a Saturday morning.
I just wish there had been a little bit more time in between.
I just don't know that I could have done it. I mean, my mind would have just been like, "What? I'm sorry, huh? Where are we? Who are you?"
My mind probably was like that for a while Saturday morning, just because it was so early. But it's what we do. So.
It's what you posted your story at 1:40 on Saturday morning.
I think so.
Goodness gracious. Good for you. TSSAA met today and discussed and voted on the proposal that we talked a little bit about last week that would have changed the district and region, I guess, schedule / format for a couple of classifications in baseball, softball, and a couple of other sports. That proposal did not pass most, so we will get the same classification cycle for 23-24 and 24-25.
Yeah, they typically approve 4-year classification cycles. With the pandemic that was going on, the last time they voted on this, they opted to vote on a 2-year, I don't know, sub-cycle maybe. I don't know, to maybe split it up and just see if there was any kind of impact on enrollments and that kind of thing, and then come back and revisit for 23-24 and 24-25. In the meantime, you had a executive director change and you had some other ideas come up, and we talked about the idea of 4 classes for boys and girls basketball, baseball, and softball, basically. And instead of splitting those evenly, to maybe make some adjustments to allow Class 2A and Class 3A were going to be a little bit bigger, and Class 1A and Class 4A were going to be a little bit smaller. Is that the way that was going to shake out, Chris? And apparently that, like you said, was voted down. We don't know what the vote was or what came to a vote after discussion, but in the minutes from today's meeting, it says they voted to extend the current classification cycle. So that will be the current classification format as well, I assume.
I wonder how much just the lack of time to study that had to do with kind of saying, this may be a good idea, but we need more time to figure it out.
I think that probably did have something to do with it, because when was it that we discussed it? Was it on Wednesday, maybe?
Gosh, yeah, I think it was Wednesday last week.
I think it was Wednesday that we discussed it, and I still don't know how you came up with it, but there was a YouTube presentation that you came across, and we kind of discussed it a little bit on Wednesday, and then it started to really catch fire publicly on Thursday, I think. And with the meeting today, I don't know that there was a whole lot of time for a whole lot of people to research and digest and that kind of thing. And so maybe discretion was the better part of valor on this. And it's like, let's come back and take a look at this after this shortened classification cycle here, 23-24 and 24-25. So yeah, I don't know that it will necessarily be off the boards, because as you mentioned, I think there's some good to that concept. I just think it's enough different that it's going to take some time for folks to kind of wrap their heads around it.
Yeah, and when you start talking about, changing the number of state finals participants and state tournament participants to 4 and that sort of thing, people are going to get angry, and I get that, but also it kills a lot of birds with that particular stone as far as the timing is concerned, how long we got to be in Murfreesboro, et cetera. So I don't know.
Not that we have a problem with being in Murfreesboro.
No, but I mean, adding that extra day certainly does add expense. And I think that's, it's important to note too. I mean, of course, that's on another level. That's not what coaches are worried about, for sure.
No, they're worried about opportunities for their kids to compete at that level. And, as particularly for basketball, I guess it's everybody's dream. It's everybody's aspiration to get to the glass house. And so when you start minimizing the number of opportunities for teams and for athletes to do that, there's certainly going to be some pushback.
No question.
Speaking of the glass house for just a second, Chris, did you see?
I didn't know if we wanted to talk about that today or wait till tomorrow.
We probably should wait till tomorrow, but trust me, go out. If you're on Twitter, go to @MT Athletics. There's a nice little video on there on some Murphy Center improvements. And if you are any kind of way an MTSU fan, you're going to like it.
Yeah, it really is cool. I agree with you 100%. And tomorrow we can show that video when we have Chip Walters on, because I'm sure he will want to talk about that and some of the other things going on at Middle Tennessee State. But yeah, you're right. I get that, but also I think the fact that there would be fewer teams in that classification, I think once you get to 4. I mean, 4 of 67 is probably the right number for a state tournament. I mean, look, I don't know if there is a right number. I think that's part of the conversation there. I mean, how do you decide what the right number is? I mean, you've been taking 8 out of, I honestly could not tell you how many schools you're talking about that you've been bringing. It's around 100
quarterfinalists. So
it's around 100. When you have 3 classes, it's that 90 to 110
in each class.
In each class. So when you basically cut that in half, taking 4 makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're gonna have 4 classes, and there's gonna be an extra gold ball involved, I think sometimes you got to give a little to get a little. So that's. Because right now it certainly seems like the coaches are getting and the players are getting all the benefits, which is great that they get those benefits. But sometimes there's another side of the coin that you have to look at, and expenses are part of that, finances are part of that. And if you want 4 gold balls, then only 4 teams get to play for it in Murfreesboro. You want to get to Murfreesboro? Don't lose in the region finals.
Be one of those 4 teams. Yeah. Okay. You're not wrong. I'm just saying that's not going to go down so well with a lot of people, but sure. I don't disagree with you.
I just think sometimes you got to give to get, and compromise is not a bad thing. I'm all for compromise, especially in this situation. So we either got 3 classes and 8 teams, or 4 classes and 1 and 4 get 4 teams. Sorry, we've always taken 32 teams, or I'm sorry, 24 teams. We've always taken 24 teams. So
you said there would be no math, and now I see why.
We've always taken 24. We're going to go back to taking 24.
And here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait a minute. So anyway, I get it, but it's certainly great to talk about. And I think, I think the TSSAA is at least trying to make it work for everybody involved. The TSSAA is doing their part to create a compromisable option. So I commend them for that. Right. They get a lot of hate. And sometimes deserved and sometimes not.
I wish we had bells.
The dings. So I understand. All right.
Among other things. Yeah.
Yeah. let's take a break, Mo, and we will talk about some other college football stuff coming up, but still more drama in Big Blue Nation, Mo, and it's not getting any better. So stick around.
You sound like you thought it would.
Maybe I was just, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not mad about it. Let them eat themselves. Come back after this. We'll tell you what's going on up in Kentucky on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yalmo, Patton here. Glad to have you with us as we continue our Monday show, getting you ready for the week all week long. It's the first week of high school football action, and Thursday's show is going to be jam-packed full of high school coverage. So make sure that you are tuned in and ready to go, because Thursday is going to be a heck of a show. We've got we're going to try to jam in a coach. We're going to get Neil Price, voice of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, to talk with us. We're going to try to get Jeff Him squeezed in there. It's going to be a lot to get into. So Thursday is going to be a jam-packed show. And of course, you know that high school sports is what we do, even if it isn't all we do. Isn't that right, Mo?
Absolutely. It's definitely what we do. And this weekend, it wasn't all I did. So
there you go. There you go. And this weekend was not a great weekend for leadership in Lexington, Kentucky.
No.
I don't know what I don't know why you would continue to let this fester and get more media coverage by making any additional tweets if you are the athletic department's leadership in Kentucky, but that didn't stop them.
And no, it did not. And, Mitch Barnhart, the athletics director at the University of Kentucky, I kind of had the opportunity to deal with him a little bit when he was on the athletic department staff at the University of Tennessee, and I was covering them in another lifetime. But he doesn't have many missteps, but when he does it big, apparently, because after John Calipari's We're a Basketball School and Mark Stoops' 4 straight 10-win seasons, and Calipari trying to walk it back, the thing had almost quieted down.
Just about.
And then Mitch comes running in and says, and another thing,
and then, and not just saying another thing, but pointing his finger in the face of media.
Because why? Who else would you point the finger in the middle of? In Nick Roush at Roush KSR, I think that's Kentucky Sports Radio.
It is.
Mitch Barnhart blames the media and, quote, the world we're living in, close quote, for the latest Kentucky controversy. Quote, you look to create stories and it becomes the fact, close quote. I mean, it's
didn't
bad.
say anything.
It's bad and it's wrong. I mean,
yeah.
Is he blaming the media for John Calipari? Is he blaming them? Because nobody even asked John Calipari anything for him to say. We're a basketball school. That was him answering a question, but
he's the one who went off on that tangent.
He's the one that said that. So I mean, I don't know how this is the media's fault for reporting it. What?
What were you supposed to do? And here's the thing: is Channel 18 in Lexington tried to they tried to kind of fix it on the back end. I mean, they were like, hey, before these quotes get taken out of context, here's the context of the conversation. And I'm like, it doesn't matter what the context of the conversation is. He said, we're a basketball school and I hope they win 10 games. And that's great, but we're a basketball school. And Mark Stoops said, ho, wait a minute. We actually play in the Southeastern Conference, the best football conference in the country, just FYI.
And I'll tell you, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Rick Bozich, who wrote for the Louisville Courier-Journal years ago and now works for one of the TV stations, WDRB in Louisville, had what I thought was a great piece. Again, I think it was on Friday. It's headline, sorry, Cal, but Kentucky is a football school in 2022. Everybody better be. And
golf clap.
Yeah, exactly.
Ding, ding.
Nobody is realigning conferences for basketball. Now, I mean, I'm sure the Big Ten is excited to have UCLA basketball, but that's not what precipitated that move. I'm sure the SEC is excited to have Texas and Oklahoma basketball. Texas probably more so, but that's not what precipitated that move. All of these moves are being made for football. Period.
And
full
being
stop.
And being good at football is important to the success of your basketball program, whether you're a basketball school traditionally or not. That's the thing. If your basketball team, especially if they're not doing great, and let's face it, Kentucky has not been great over the last 5 years since their national championship run. The fans and the donors of Kentucky basketball are not going, you said this on Friday, they are not going to be as forgiving of John Calipari as they are Mark Stoops. So you can't go creating enemies when you already don't have many friends.
You can lose games, and I mentioned this at Titans practice earlier today. You can lose games, and you can not be a good person. We'll go that way, but you can't do both.
That's right.
In Bozich's piece, I don't believe Calipari intended to demean the Kentucky football program or the women's national championship volleyball program or the surging UK swimming and soccer programs or any other UK program. But Calipari does not grasp how out of touch basketball school talk is in 2022. Every Power 5 conference school is a football school. Football drives television contracts. Football drives conference realignment. Football drives athletic departments' revenue.
This is not this is not Mo, and forgive me ahead of time. This is not your Kentucky. This is not your dad's Kentucky. This is not the world we live in anymore. And to Mitch Barnhart's point, he's right. It is partly the world that we live in that
but
makes
it's not
this
the media.
But that is what makes this a story, is because the only basketball school that exists right now is Kansas. Period. They are the only school in the country who can find a landing spot if the Big 12 were to go away or they wanted to leave the Big 12. They could find a landing spot based
on the basis
solely
of
on
their basketball
program.
Yeah.
Nobody else can do that. Period.
Indiana?
So, I don't think so. I mean, Indiana's basketball program hasn't been very good in the last decade and a half.
Yeah, no, they've not. I mean, from a tradition standpoint, perhaps, but yeah, you're right. In terms of current success, yeah,
right now, a Power 5 with a Power 5 football school program on campus. I mean, obviously, there's, I guess, UConn, but those type things that's a whole different can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
But with a Power 5 football program right now, Kansas is it. Sorry, John. Hate it for you. That's a look. I don't think there's any drama. I don't think Kentucky fans have anything to worry about. I think this is going to go away. This is just off-season talk. As soon as Mark Stoops wins a couple of football games, things are going to be happy. Cal's been recruiting his butt off, and he's got a great class coming in for this season. So, that Gonzaga contest is going to be huge. He already stuck his foot in his mouth about playing at Gonzaga. We know we don't play in 6,000 seat arenas, et cetera, et cetera. So, he's had a tough off season, but once we get to football and that kind of goes away and then basketball season starts up, he'll be just fine. He's just got to win some basketball games.
I am going to say this though. John Calipari could keep himself out of a lot of trouble if he adhered to the coach speak that you get from so many guys.
But I'm glad he doesn't.
He doesn't. And he gets himself into some situations as a result. But he's an original, man. And I'll give him that. And when you speak without necessarily considering the consequences of what you say, every now and then you're going to land in one of these.
And that's okay. Again,
it really is. I mean,
it's
because
okay.
When it's all said and done, I mean, again, considering everything, I don't know that he was necessarily wrong. I mean, when you do think of the University of Kentucky athletically, you think basketball first.
Well, especially if you're Tennessee, because their football team ain't done very much against the Big Orange lately either.
Hey, the basketball team hadn't either. I mean, Tennessee's holding their own with them, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Historically speaking, you think Kentucky basketball.
Sure.
Over the last little bit, the football team has certainly made an impact. Like you said, the Battle of I-75 still leans south, though. So
no question there. Don't worry, Kentucky fans. You're going to be just fine. Everything's fine.
Remain calm. All is well.
Yeah, it's talking season, folks, and that's all we're doing. Before we get out of here and take a quick break, a couple of things. Tennessee's football team just landed a 4-star commitment cornerback who was projected to go to Texas. So who's the real UT today? And and speaking of recruits, Kirby Smart at SEC Media Day said, "Hey, we gotta stop these neutral site games because Georgia and Florida, we need to go to home and home because they're not letting us recruits to neutral site games." Well, that rule has been lifted. Georgia and Florida will now be able to host recruits at the world's largest football game in Jacksonville.
Yeah, because you can't call it that other thing, can you?
Somebody can. I don't know why I can't. Who can't?
I don't know. I was
They
wondering
can't. Yeah, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
There you go.
And
Now,
so that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. Now, was there a rule against neutral site recruit hosting, or was there a rule against Georgia? Is it an NCAA rule? Is it an SEC rule? What is it?
I think it's an SEC rule where they were trying to keep folks from taking them to the Georgia Dome, or and I'm curious if Texas A&M or Arkansas at Jerry's World is affected by this. But whatever the rule, whoever's rule it was, is no longer. So.
Well, is it just for this Jacksonville game, or is it across, like you said?
So where it was reported was a Georgia website, so that's all they were concerned with, and I didn't do a whole lot more investigation because it really was affected by this was caused by Kirby Smart's comments at SEC Media Day.
Sure.
So I did not do a whole lot of digging into it, but I think it's good for the game when you can get kids at those big non off campus games. It's probably a little more difficult to wrangle them off campus than it is on campus, and perhaps that had something to do with the rule. But nonetheless, they'll be able to be at the games. So there you go.
I'm interested to see, like you said, where this goes from here in terms of, the like the Peach Bowl Kickoff Classic, that kind of the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic, the Jerry's World Games, that kind of thing.
So from Palmer, THOMBS, and I have no one to point to.
Toombs.
Maybe. Palmer Toombs. It's just one O, so I don't know. It says that Georgia will be able to host recruits on an annual basis. We have since learned that only the designated home team is able to do so.
Okay.
Being able to provide tickets for recruits without any contact.
Okay. And they alternate, obviously.
Correct.
Okay.
So Georgia is exercising its right to provide tickets for the first time as a designated home team in 2022. The SEC amended its rules back in 2012 to allow the home team to give tickets to recruits for neutral site games. But at the time, according to Bleacher Report, citing quotes from Georgia Athletic Director Greg McGarity, he and Florida AD Jeremy Foley reportedly agreed not to do so. So apparently it was not an SEC rule. It was just a
Florida Georgia rule. Yeah.
Well, both Jeremy Foley and
agreement, huh?
Yeah, Jeremy Foley and Greg McGarity made that agreement in 2012, and neither of them are there anymore. So,
well, did neither of them share? Did McGarity not tell Kirby?
Nobody told them. They were like they just let them keep believing that was just a rule. Nobody said, "Hey."
And maybe that's what Sankey said. It's like, yo, that ain't us.
Hey, it's not on us, man. We did. That's not our rule. What are you talking about?
I got no idea what you're talking about, bro.
Kirby goes back to the 80s. Always be like, I went up there and made a fool of myself, and you just didn't read the rules. Well, you didn't either, Kirby. I didn't say it. You did.
Exactly.
Wow. Anyway, let's take a break here. We are, Justin, we're going to skip halftime today, but you can do the short break that you normally do. So just give us a short break here and we'll come back and talk a little Braves action. How about that? On Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
Hi, this is Melissa Hoisington, Regional Crisis Director from Volunteer Behavioral Health. Disasters can affect everything in your life, including your emotional health. Help is available during these uncertain times. The Tennessee Recovery Project is a free, supportive resource for adults and children who have experienced the effects of natural or human-caused disasters. Specialists are available for counseling by phone or in person. For free, confidential service, please call 833-954-2424. The hotline is open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Move forward with the help from the Tennessee Recovery Project.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
We're back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton. Oh, there we go. And Mo, the Atlanta Braves had a pretty good weekend.
The Atlanta Braves did what they were supposed to do. Now, the fact that they did it with Ian Anderson, Kyle Muller, and Bryce Elder may have made it a little bit less what they were supposed to do, but they went to Miami and they swept. And they've now won their last 6 following their quick 2-game series sweep up in Boston. So they're feeling pretty good. Things get significantly harder starting tonight.
They do, in fact, get a little more difficult as the New York Metropolitans will make their way down to Atlanta. But, you know, Marlins folks are, and rightfully so, pretty upset right now. Craig Mish, who covers the fish. Yeah.
Wow.
He said, look, the Braves just swept the Marlins and did not pitch their 4 best pitchers. Any of them. Their top 4. I mean, Bryce Elder
didn't throw Freed, didn't throw Morton,
didn't throw Kyle Wright or Spencer Strider. and won 4 ball games.
Wow.
And currently the Braves picked up a game and a half over the weekend, by the way.
And saved the best for last because they were down 1-0 through 8 innings yesterday.
Okay, so yesterday I tweeted because I thought Morton was going. I said, Braves have won 3. It's the last game of the series. Morton's throwing
today.
Well, they don't know that it's daytime when it's a dome.
There you go.
Load up on the Marlins. I saw the pitching matchup and I said, I'm going to go load up on the Marlins money line and over 7.5 runs. We get to the 8th inning.
Oof. And it's 1-0.
And it's 1-0. And so I start looking at the live betting and I was like, okay, so we get to the end of the 8th. Braves are plus 220 to win. So I hedged.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the same amount on the Braves to win as I had on the Marlins to win. Well, the Braves were plus 220. The Marlins were plus 110. So I cashed out at I won $2 over what I bet. I had $2 extra. So I cashed out that because I was like, Braves are going to win this thing. The Braves are winning this game. So I cashed that out, made my $2, put that money on the Braves money line at plus 220, and then won that. So I ended up winning like $45 after the $10 that I put on the parlay. Obviously didn't hit because we didn't get over 7.5, and the Marlins didn't win.
All right.
But I over what I had, yeah, I ended up winning about $45 because I've had faith. Once we got to I was like, I don't know why, but I just feel like the Braves are going to win this thing. And then Mike hits the homer, and I was like, maybe we go to extra innings. We do get over 7.5, and the Marlins win, and I win all of it. But it didn't happen. Braves won. I won. It was a great day.
There you go. And that's why you don't have players on teams that your team has to play against in fantasy.
On your fantasy. Ain't that the truth?
There you go.
Yeah, I was not I was winning so big in my fantasy. I didn't care what happened. Yeah. ESPN Analytics said the Braves are going to win tonight. 58% chance over Carlos Carrasco, while Spencer Strider goes to the bump. Carrasco 13-4 on the year with a 3.76 ERA, 1.28 WHIP, has 123 strikeouts in 124 innings. That's not quite as good as Strider, who is 6-4 on the year, 3.11 and 105, while he has struck out 138 in just 89 2/3.
That's obscene. 138 strikeouts in less than 90 innings. And that's unbelievable for, for such a young pitcher. And the thing, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit, as for as many strikeouts as he has, he's shown an ability to get you through 6 and into 7 and that kind of thing. He's really efficient for a strikeout pitcher. And I don't know how that works.
You're right. He does, especially for someone who has 34 walks in those 89 innings. I mean, it's like he's able to get a lot of ground balls and double plays when necessary. And that's a big part of it. Yeah. I'm looking at, tell me how this works, Mo, because I'm very confused. Pete Alonso, 29 home runs. Austin Riley, 30. Alonso's average, 281. Riley's average, 292. So Austin Riley, pretty darn good, right? Pete Alonso has 97 RBIs to Riley's 74. With fewer homers and a lower batting average.
I think the Mets do a better job of just getting on base. And we saw it, unfortunately, in the series at Citi Field to start off this 3-city road trip that the Braves are just coming off of. I mean, they get guys on base. They do little things. They are pesky. I mean, you and I talked about it. Their lineup doesn't overwhelm you. I mean, they've got Alonso and they've got Lindor, and McNeil was an all-star, and he's okay, but they don't strike you as championship caliber offenses until you look at the numbers.
No question. Braves are a favorite tonight, minus 147. Mets plus 125. The over-under is 8 runs. Man, interesting.
Ooh.
In the last 10, the Mets are 8-2, while the Braves are 7-3. Of course, they've won their last 6. Hitting 274. The Mets are hitting 279. Of course, the Mets played the Phillies and the Braves played the Marlins. So take from that what you will.
All right.
It's gonna be a great 4-game series. I am looking forward to it. I mean, this is just gonna be another great series, but this is one the Braves have got to find a way to win 3 of 4. You've got to pick up ground before the Mets leave, and you certainly can't lose 3 of 4.
Oh no, they have to gain ground here if the NL East is in play at all.
I agree completely. All right. Before we get out of here, Mo, it is time to tell us what happened this day in Braves history.
August 15th, 1955, Warren Spahn's solo home run in Milwaukee's 12-3 rout of St. Louis, his third of the year, gave the crafty left-hander a round tripper in every National League ballpark. He might be the last major league pitcher that's done that, by the way. Spahn also tripled in the contest, going 3 for 5 and scoring twice while driving in as many runs as he allowed in the complete game victory.
Man.
Hashtag pitchers who rake.
And they won't let that kid from that kid they drafted hit. Come on, man.
Could be the next Warren Spahn, right?
Could be the next Warren
or Max Fried.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this day in Braves history and the Braves segment, brought to you by Insert Your Business here. Make sure to contact us if you want to be part of the show. We'd love to have you. When we come back, Parrish Alford previews the Ole Miss Rebels on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton. And we continue our coverage of Southeastern Conference football and previewing each team in the conference, as we are excited to welcome in Parrish Alford, who comes to us to talk a little Ole Miss, as he's a columnist for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. Find him at Parrish Alford on Twitter. Looking forward to this one, Mo, because it's always fun to talk about Lane Kiffin in Tennessee.
Yeah, and who better to do it than the 2021 National Sports Media Association Mississippi Sports Writer of the Year, Parrish Alford. Parrish, appreciate you spending some time with us, man.
I'm glad to be here, guys. How are things going there in Nashville?
Hot.
Well,
Hot.
when I'm there, I'm looking for hot chicken. So, it's a lot of things hot there in Nashville. I heard the Brave segment there, man. Let me ask you real quick. Where does the MLB talk in Nashville stand these days?
Right here.
In terms of a franchise coming is what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's still, I don't know. They've been looking at Oakland. I think there was some talk about Baltimore earlier this year, maybe moving here. I think that's kind of calmed down. I don't know what the plan is. The Sounds are in a stadium that was kind of backed by the city that's less than 10 years old. I don't know, realistically, Parrish, I don't know how that happens unless somebody's willing to put a lot of their own money into it, I think. But, you're the first person that's asked me what I thought about it, though. Chris, what do you think?
Honestly, it's got legs, but hopefully they'll just keep treading water for a while. I don't want to see it. We have a lot of transplants here, and honestly, when you're talking about trying to completely create a fan base of people who are already rabid fans of other major league teams, I just don't know that it's possible. And baseball is such a sport that it's not like hockey where you can go and just enjoy the night and that sort of thing. I think you'd have trouble getting fan support citywide, I think.
81 dates. 81 dates. That's a lot of dates. That's what I've always said. So I don't
know.
Well, I'd come up for one.
Okay. Well, sure. I mean, I would go, but I don't know that I could be a fan of the Nashville Stars because I am an Atlanta Braves fan, and always will be.
Yeah, so many folks have allegiances to other teams that it's going to make it interesting, to say the least. But if there's anybody that knows more than what we just said, give us a shout.
Welcome to
it's.
They've got some names. I mean, they've got names behind them.
Absolutely.
They've got a huge vat of people who are all for it. But I don't know.
Yeah. Your turn, Parrish. What are you expecting out of life after Matt Corral?
Well, I think that's been a big question around these parts and an uncomfortable answer, I guess, in this competition, as no one seems to have taken a leg up, so to speak. That might have changed after the scrimmage on Saturday when Jackson Dart, the USC transfer, turned in a performance with no turnovers, 2 touchdowns, pretty good completion percentage, moved the team well. Lane Kiffin didn't have much praise for either of his 2 main competitors in that competition, being Dart and another sophomore, Luke Altmaier, a former 4-star prospect and one-time Florida State commit. And the dark horse here is a guy who was like a program signee under Matt Luke, and you knew he was going to need to come in and get stronger and develop, and he's done that. He's had a really good spring, a really good camp. His name is Kincaid Dent, but it's hard to really pencil him in as a serious candidate right now because he just hasn't been getting those first-team reps. Those have gone primarily or almost exclusively to Altmaier and Dart, and Saturday could end up being a key dot on the timeline for Dart if he builds off of that performance.
We saw Altmaier in the bowl game, and clearly he was kind of uneven in his play, but I thought you saw enough to kind of feel like he had a chance. How has he built on that performance, do you feel like?
Well, I think he's again shown that he has a chance. I think you could look at him and see potential. You look at him and think, man, this could work, but it hasn't been a camp where he has taken complete control of the competition, where he's really separated himself and he just hasn't won the job in the 2 weeks or really taken steps that way. He's a little different quarterback, a little pocket passer, showed some nice touch in that Sugar Bowl in relief of Matt Corral. Dart, when he's in, gives them a little more threat outside the pocket. So I don't know. That's a big part in Lane Kiffin's offense. Certainly, it has been in his first 2 seasons with Matt Corral. So I think if Dart can do that and can protect the football and make some plays, it's going to be. I think he'll be the starter.
Speaking with Parrish Alford of the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Parrish, we talked about the AP Top 25 that came out today earlier in the show. Ole Miss coming in at number 21 in that poll. Given the quarterback situation, what are voters basing that on?
No, so many of these polls right now are based on what you accomplished last year. Maybe Ole Miss would be a little higher in the poll if they were coming in settled at quarterback, as Arkansas is. But that's not where the Rebels are. They think they have some potential at that position, be it Dart or Altmaier. I look at this Ole Miss team, Mo, and maybe they're basing it on the idea that this team has reloaded through the transfer portal. They've got like 17 or 18 transfers at key positions on both sides of the ball. Anytime you bring a new guy into the program, there's some sort of risk involved, no matter what he's achieved at other levels. You know, you're putting a kid in new surroundings with new teammates. There's going to be a period of acclimation. But, you know, Ole Miss has brought in some guys who have been able to achieve at other levels. Ulysses Bentley at running back, Zach Evans at running back. They were at Bentley at SMU, Evans at TCU, very established players there. I think Ole Miss will be very strong in the run game again and very deep at running back, as they were last year when 3 guys carried the ball. But it'll be 3 brand new guys. You know, another name to watch is going to be Quinshawn Judkins, a freshman. I think they're going to be solid on the offensive line. They returned some experience there. They're starting to build some depth, some guys who have been in the program for a little while now. I think they have a good chance to play well there. And if they can run the ball, and that's a big part of Lane Kiffin's offense, that's going to open up a world of opportunities. So we'll see. But that might be what the voters are looking at, the idea that Kiffin was able to hit so many needs in the transfer portal. I think a lot of people, Mo, are still trying to get a read on exactly what that means. Maybe Ole Miss will be a good test case for that transfer portal theory this season.
Yeah, I certainly think so. When you're talking about quarterbacks and needing to fill a role at quarterback, there's not many coaches better to do that or better equipped than Lane Kiffin. He really is a kind of plug and play guy because of his ability to coach quarterbacks. And it certainly doesn't help when you've got 3,000 yards coming back in the backfield between those two, Zach Evans and Ulysses Bentley from last season. So look, this is an offense that not only has great skill players in the backfield, but up front, you're talking about guys like Nick Broker and Caleb Warren. And of course, again, in the transfer portal from Western Kentucky, Mason Brooks. This is a team that has the ability to be really good up front on offense. And that's where it starts.
Yeah, and again, you know, if those guys come in and produce, and look, some of them are playing at different levels now. If they come in and meet those expectations, then yes, I think we'll look back and say Lane Kiffin was a transfer portal genius, portal king. You know, he put that out himself on social media. If he's able to get these guys to produce in that way, I don't think the offense will miss too much of a beat. Now, you don't pull out a leader like Matt Corral and not feel it. Matt Corral was just such a guy that rallied the players around him. I mean, they really, you know, played hard for him because they saw how hard he played for them, sticking his body in there against linebackers, running physical. It's going to be hard to replace that. But look, it's college football. You have transition all the time. If you get Dart or Altmaier to come in and perform, protect the football, move the chains, I think this is going to be a really good offense. I think, look, I do believe there's going to be a period of acclimation for these transfers, but I think you're going to see them perform. I think the running backs are going to be good. A lot of transfers on defense as well, but they're really building up some depth there on the defensive line, got some experience. I think they have a chance to be good. 21 is probably a good spot for them right now.
Yeah, and conversely, as I was saying, the offensive line got at least one good pro prospect at the tackle position and another one that's, again, like you said, transferred from the group of 5 from Western Kentucky, but could still be ready-made for that position. But on the other side, the front 7 or front 6 in this instance for Ole Miss, who runs a 4-2-5. But, obviously you lose Sam Williams, but Cedric Johnson's still there. Again, transfers, you just have to hope that Kari Coleman and Jared Ivey are able to fill those roles. But this defense should still be pretty good when you look at what they have coming back.
Yeah, I think they're going to be strong on the interior as well with KD Hill and the experience that he brings at that position. And they've got so many. They hit the secondary so hard in recruiting for a couple of years. They got a lot of young guys back there and new names, different names that will be contributing. One DeAndre Prince at a cornerback, who was in the program with Ole Miss, under Matt Luke, and then went to junior college and is back, very athletic there. AJ Finley coming back among the safeties, just a lot of experience there. And this was a unit that was really playing well the second half of last season. They kind of went through a philosophy change after that Arkansas game, 52-51, if people were keeping up with the Rebels last year. That just up and down the field, both of those teams, no defense in that game. After that game, Ole Miss became more aggressive, more attacking, really made better use of Sam Williams in that game. So you mentioned Cedric Johnson. Yes, he's a guy that makes some plays behind the line of scrimmage. Be more attention on him this year. He was kind of that guy who you forgot about him because you had Sam Williams on the other side. There will be more, responsibility. I don't want to use the word pressure right now in August. Let him see if he decides that for himself later on. But, no Sam Williams on the other side to help out this year. But, again, I think you'll see him take a step in that defense. So they'll have a chance to be good.
Parrish, you were mentioned in the secondary and the way Ole Miss's coaching staff has hit that hard in their recruiting efforts. We would be remiss if we didn't ask you about the freshman from East Robertson High School up here in our area, Taylor Groves. As a incoming freshman, I don't know if you're seeing very much of him, but what have you seen anything of him?
I haven't. Honestly, okay. I've been up to a couple of practices and haven't seen that much on the personnel front behind the starters, the guys that most people are familiar with.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Speaking of Lane Kiffin's offense, Mo, they went out and found a punter on campus. Pretty sure that he was at a frat house or something, as Lane Kiffin said. They found him at a frat house, Kappa Tappa Keg, and. But not that they need one. 49 attempts on fourth down last year, converted 31 of them. That's got to be the reason that Lane's just like, hey, find somebody who can get it done when we got to get it done. Is that accurate, Parrish?
They led the nation in fourth down attempts last year, and they weren't bad in conversions. The success rate was like number 26 or 25, something like that. But man, the ones that they did not convert in some big games really stood out, as failed fourth downs will from time to time. Alabama, you're going for it a couple of times on your end of the field early in that game. Sometimes it looks like analytics and sometimes it looks like desperation. But he's not a guy who likes to punt a whole lot. And you go back and look, there was so much written about Lane Kiffin and his choices on fourth down and whatnot, and that caught a lot of attention last year. He told Ole Miss people about it in his introductory press conference. He said, "I'm going to rely on analytics, and sometimes that's not going to look good, and you're gonna boo me." And and I'm paraphrasing all that, but that was part of his message on his opening day, so to speak. And it really kind of stood out last year in that Alabama game. But he is aggressive on fourth downs, and lots of times it does pay off. And there was a sequence 2020 with Elijah Moore where they had the ball in the red zone trying to punch it in somewhere around the 20. And they had 3 plays that were basically non-productive. And they took Elijah Moore from slot receiver or the edge, wherever they would use him, and lined him up in the backfield at running back. And all of a sudden, this guy's blocked and that guy's blocked, and you've got a matchup that you want in the middle of the field, and it's a well-designed play on fourth down and greatly executed, and they're in the end zone. So, he goes for it on fourth downs quite a bit, more than what a lot of coaches might be comfortable with. But sometimes you get a play like that.
Sometimes you do. Parrish Alford joining us here, talking a little Ole Miss action here, and so excited for this Ole Miss football team because, again, they're fun to watch. If nothing else, they're fun to watch because Lane Kiffin's going to make sure they're fun to watch. So looking forward to it, and we appreciate your time, Parrish, for coming on at such short notice and helping us out.
Guys, thanks a lot. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks, Parrish. You too.
I like his description down there. It was Parrish Alford, friend of Mo.
Yeah, it's good to have friends, especially friends that can talk to us about other college football programs. I had to go, Chris, and look up this punter, and there's an article on footballscoop.com, and Kiffin, being Kiffin, talked about it over the weekend. We got some conditioning work to do with my guy. Apparently, Charlie Pollock is listed at 6'1", 250, but this kid,
he kicked D1.
Kicked at Nevada. He's from Marietta. Originally signed out of high school with Nevada before hitting the transfer portal and winding up at Ole Miss. So.
I wish I had the video available. I just don't have it. But there was a point in his press conference over the weekend or maybe on Friday where he said, I just told my guys to go on campus and find me somebody who can punt. And we found somebody who had kicked D1.
Yep. And this guy was a 5-star according to Cole's kicking service, and
that seems good.
15, top 15 punter in the nation according to 24/7 Sports composite rankings. So
there you go. Yeah. Ole Miss starts its season at home against Troy. That's never easy. Then you've got Central Arkansas at Georgia Tech, Tulsa and Kentucky at home at Vanderbilt, then back home for Auburn before heading to LSU and A&M, an open date before the Crimson Tide come to town, and then you've got to go to Arkansas and at home again against the rival Mississippi State Bulldogs. So should be 8 to 9 wins in there. I think they could be 6-1 or 7-0 going into LSU.
Coming out of the SEC media days, they were predicted 4th in the West in the preseason, behind Arkansas, ahead of LSU. So
that's probably about right. There you go. So Ole Miss preview done and done. Let's take a quick short break. Justin, if you would, just make sure that we get our fine title sponsor, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, in this next break. And we'll be right back on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, final segment of the day, and we kind of saved this news for the last segment for whatever reason, but Miles Brennan, according to several reports at this point, including from his head coach, Brian Kelly, Miles Brennan has said he is done playing football and has effectively ended his collegiate career. Quarterback at LSU has been there for this would have been his 6th year. He's played in 30-something games, I think, over that time. So certainly probably I guess he wasn't getting first-team reps, and at this point, why am I here?
And that's a fair question. You know, we talked to Scott Rabelais of the Baton Rouge Advocate, last Friday? Was it about LSU football?
Yes.
And he mentioned, the Arizona State transfer that had come in there and had kind of taken hold of that position, it seemed. And, you felt like Brennan was going to be, certainly in the mix there. And all of a sudden that wasn't necessarily the case. And so, yeah, like you said, when you get to that point where you've been there for as long as he had, when you've battled the injuries that he has and try to get back and it's just not working quite the way you'd want it to, then, hey, why am I here? So
understandable.
It's unfortunate, but
yeah, you feel like maybe if he had a little more time to make a decision, he might have found his way into the portal and somewhere else, even if it wasn't, Power 5 or anything like that. But, also he's been hurt a lot. So this may just be a good time to dip out. So,
and, the thing that sometimes we from the outside looking in forget is it comes to an end for everybody.
Yep.
And sometimes if you can dip out on your own terms, then there's kind of something to be said for that, as opposed to, continuing to beat your head against a brick wall. Jaden Daniels seems to have emerged. Garrett Nussmeier probably running with the twos, and you're a 6-year senior and you find yourself in that number 3 spot on the depth chart. He's probably already graduated. As long as he's been there, he's got a couple of degrees. Probably.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just time to get on with life, man.
There you go. Absolutely. Finally, just want to mention that if you are looking for any Titans preseason coverage, you can find some from Mo on Titan Insider, no S, TitanInsider.com. Make sure to check that out. And plenty to go around, plenty of Titans coverage to go around. So a lot going on out there, especially in the wide receivers. I thought that was a fantastic story about about what Robert Woods, man. It's really good stuff.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Just trying to create some content while Terry McCormick was gallivanting up in the Northeast. So he took a few days off, and I got to go out there and pinch hit for him for a little bit. He should be back on the grind on Wednesday when they resume practice. They're taking an off day tomorrow. They've got a joint practice coming up this week with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ahead of their
Tom Brady.
Yes, minus Tom Brady, ahead of their preseason game on Saturday at Nissan Stadium. So should be some interesting stuff coming out of there. And again, as you said, check out TitanInsider.com. I've got a couple of things up there. I should have something else up there before the end of the evening. And Terry will be back in the saddle on Wednesday.
That's right. All right, we're going to head on out. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. For Mo Patton and Justin Kulik, I'm Chris Yao saying have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.